There is a shift happening, and we're going to get right into today's video. Things have been feeling off. I spoke about this a few videos ago, probably a couple of months ago, how I felt like things were off, and I haven't been able to quite place my finger on it. But the more that keeps happening, the more I kind of see maybe this is exactly the off feeling that I have been feeling. And I want to know how you guys feel down below in the comments. Have you been experiencing the same off feeling, or have you been okay? And I'm sure everybody's going to be different. I'm sure not everybody has experienced this like off feeling and not exactly knowing what it is, just a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of just heaviness, and just like a feeling of uneasiness at times. We have tariffs, and although we always have tariffs, these tariffs, we're actually starting to see the impacts of the tariffs. We have seen grocery stores increase prices. People that have packages, they might have paid a couple of $100s for a couple of items, and in turn, to get those items, the actual carrier is charging hundreds, if not thousands of dollars before they release these items to the consumer.
Put a finger down if you ordered 2 counter stools for your apartment from a company based in London, and each one was $535 plus tax. And now UPS will not deliver them to you unless you pay them $1,600, $1,610 to be exact.
Okay, so let's run through the 4 new tariffs that are going to kick off next Wednesday. We have a 100% tariff on all imported pharmaceuticals, a 50% tariff on kitchen cabinets and bathroom vanities, Whoa. 30% on upholstered furniture, and a 25% on heavy-duty trucks. I know we're not driving big rigs, but that is how your groceries get to the grocery store. So if the costs for those go up, it could trickle down to your groceries.
A lot of people can't afford food. They're having a hard time making ends meet. They are going to food pantries, food banks, going to churches, trying to gather food. They're sitting in these long lines that are wrapped around buildings for, hours sometimes just to get food for their family.
The last week of August, which means I have a food pantry haul for you. My husband was 7th in line and waited 3 hours for this food as well, so thank him.
I'm at a food pantry to get some groceries. Let's see what we can get together. I've never been to one, but hopefully we can get some goodies.
You guys, I'm sure, are very aware that there are people that are losing their homes and their places that they are living every single day because either they cannot pay their mortgage or they cannot pay their rent. So homes are being foreclosed on. People are being evicted from their places. And a lot of people are resorting to living in cars or even living, at homeless shelters and homeless camps because they have nowhere else to go. There's also a rise in people living in hotels and motels. And hotel living can be expensive, although people are paying a weekly rate. If you add up the weekly rate for, hotels or motels, that can sometimes exceed rent or a mortgage. And I think sometimes people are having an issue where they get knocked down, they're being evicted, and once, they get back on their feet, they have a good job, even making good money, they're having a hard time finding, a home or even a mobile home or an apartment for rent because they want you to make 3 times the amount of rent. And then, depending on if they got evicted, they might have taken a hit to their credit. Everything that's happening with food going up, people being priced out of homes, people becoming homeless, job loss being at an all-time high, and, people just being priced out of life, basically.
I hate the world we live in. I really do. I can't afford a regular apartment because who has $2-3 grand a month to pay for that? So I've been on wait lists for years, literally 5 years, for an income-based apartment. Finally, so close to getting one, right? And I actually could afford it. No, I make too much money to qualify because I got a second job to help pay my bills. So now I make $4,000 too much to qualify. But make that make sense because I just sat here and did the math. If I didn't have my second job, I would be negatives after I paid rent and all my other bills. So make that make sense. So either I need to work 80 hours a week to afford a $2,000, $3,000 rent, or work less, even though I'm already living paycheck to paycheck. I can't stand it. I'm over it.
I think at some point we will be experiencing some civil unrest. We have things that are going on in the country that a lot of people do not agree with. A lot of people are suffering in our country right now. Because of that, I think a lot of people have reached the tipping point, like reached their boiling point. They're at their breaking point or almost at their breaking point, and they are really close to just losing it.
National Guard, have you decided which city that you want to go into next?
Yeah, I have. I have. I'm not going to say it now, but yeah, I have. we're going to go into another place and straighten it out. And I will say this: I watched today. I didn't know that was continuing to go on, but Portland is unbelievable. What's going on in Portland? The destruction of the city.
Are you going into
Well, I'm going to look at it now because I didn't know that was still going on. This has been going on for years.
Have you decided you
So we'll be able to stop that very easily. We'll be able to stop it. But that was not on my list, Portland. But when I watched television last night, this has been going on. You wouldn't be standing if you were the mayor. You would be. Can you imagine what they're doing?
We have the National Guard that has been deployed to a couple of cities in the United States, and we can expect to see that happening all across the United States. There will be more cities added to the list at some point. And I know that I was actually reading an article the other day that said that a lot of the, people that were deployed to Washington, D.C. have picked up, trash, and that they've been able to clean up the area. And I'm like, are they there to clean up the area, or are they there to patrol? And the amount of money that has been spent so far, I'm like, okay, like what is going on? The question we should be asking ourselves is, when is enough enough? What happens when people reach their breaking point and become fed up? As a society, I think we're going to see more and more people just, becoming fed up. And what happens with that? Will we see more protests? Will we see, people that are snapping and just losing it because at the end of the day, they can't afford food, and yet they have kids and babies to feed. Most people, I could probably say, would be willing to do whatever it takes, to make sure that their kids have food. So we also have to take that into account as well. That's another reason why you want to prep, because if anything pops off and anything starts going down, at least you don't have to run out in the chaos, and you can be home for a little bit longer, depending on how much food you have. That's one less thing that you have to worry about. Stockpile your home. Bulk buy items that you already use. So any items that are on your regular grocery list, obviously we're going to do the rice, the beans, the flour, and sugar. But say if you have a family that goes through peanut butter every 2 weeks, you're going through a jar. Make sure you're stocking up on that. If you have a family that goes through pickles a lot, buy several jars of pickles if that's already on your grocery list. So you need to become accustomed to how much your family eats. Like if you guys eat 2 or 3 of something in a 2 or 3 week span, times that by the weeks or month, however you decide to do it, and then times it by the months in the year. And that should give you a great start as to how much you need. There are different ways to prep, but a good idea really is to just start with your grocery list.